Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Wednesday, July 9th. Investors await more on trade deals and the Fed meeting minutes as we come off a muted session in the markets yesterday. Stocks ended mixed, but essentially flat during regular trading. The Nasdaq picked up just 5 points or 0.03%. The Dow and the S&P 500 did close in the red. The Dow gave up 165 points or 0.37%. The S&P 500 ended down marginally off only 4 points or 0.07%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. Hey, I'm watching the S&Ps. We're up 0.24%. That's a nice move. That's a nice leg higher. And realistically, the market's got this anticipation that there could be some trade deals announced today. I mean, we're talking India. We're talking maybe the EU. They might not be trade deals. They could just be frameworks of trade deals, but that's causing a lot of, positivity in the market this morning. There's a lot of news on the tape today. I mean, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Director of White House National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, these two guys are being named as the top candidates to succeed Jerome Powell as the next Fed chairman. Bessent's a better choice. I think, he's more, he understands the markets better. Kevin Hassett is really just is out there, politicking for the job. And that doesn't mean he'd make a good Fed chairman. What else do we see? Listen, the key economic event today is going to be those Fed meeting minutes from last month's Fed meeting. Remember, you got two Fed officials that came out and basically said that they think the time is now right to lower interest rates. Those are Governors Waller and Governors Bauman. But they didn't change their dot plot expectations. They still stick at 2 for the entire year. So they're just moving up the pace in order to kind of please any political issues that are in front of them. What other stuff we got going on? Oh, Boeing is trading higher this morning. It's up 1%. They delivered some upbeat news related to plane deliveries. Merck is doing a deal. They're taking over a COPD firm. Costco. We got to talk about Costco because guess what? After the bell today, they're going to be releasing their June sales figures. What else do we have? You got to talk on the earnings front. I mean, AZZ, ticker AZZ, they're going to be releasing earnings after the close, and tomorrow morning you got Simply Good Foods, ConAgra, and Delta. They're all scheduled to release. Then we're taking a look over at Europe this morning, and the action. European action is positive this morning, no question about it. We're looking at the DAX. The DAX is up 285 points. That's 1.18%. You're seeing some. You're seeing some positive action. These defense stocks helping to offset any concerns about domestic consumption. You're looking at the FTSE. The FTSE's up 22 points or 0.26%. It's really being driven by strength in oil stocks. Mining stocks are showing weakness because of President Trump's comments yesterday on copper. France is showing a gain of 1.29%. The financial stocks are outperforming. Then we're taking a look at Asia last night, and Asia was mixed. I mean, the Nikkei was higher by 0.33%, 132% or 132 points. The yen is weakening, and that was good for, and that led to gains, and specifically in the autos and the financial stocks. Hong Kong, on the other hand, fell 255 points. That's 1.06%. You saw weakness in tech, property, and consumer stocks. Shanghai and China fell, 0.13%. Consumer prices in China rose 0.1% year over year in June. However, producer prices tumbled 3.6%. So, it was a mixed bag in China in terms of economic news. And then you're taking a look at oil, and oil this morning is, showing gains. We got WTI at $68.56 a barrel. We got Brent at $70.36 a barrel. Okay, there's a lot to digest in oil these days. I mean, number one, the API data came out last night after the bell, showing crude oil inventories rose by 7.1 million barrels last week. That's a rise in crude oil inventories is typically negative, but later today you get the EIA data coming out. But, there's those Houthi militia, Houthi rebels, whatever you want to call them, in Yemen, and they kind of resumed attacks in the Red Sea on some cargo ships. They, after pausing for 7 months, they started doing this again, and that's causing a little bit of volatility kick higher in oil prices because it's deemed a little bit unsafe to be going through the Red Sea these days. And then you get the EIA, which lowered their outlook. They downgraded U.S. oil production forecast for 2025, citing weaker prices that have prompted producers to scale back drilling activity. No drill, baby, drill. They're scaling back because prices are where they really need to be in order for them to make money on opening up new wells. And then new wells cost about $70 a barrel, and here's oil trading at 68.57. Not enough to really make them anticipate profitability. So yeah, I'm not surprised that they did pull back on their outlook. But oil is trading higher on the day, so that's where we are this morning, and that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update, Emily.
Bill, your update on oil there is a perfect example of how a number of pieces of data filter in to create these moves, in things like oil, in the markets, in certain stocks and sectors. And you're watching all of that using your news where you're able to gather those pieces of data and put those pieces of the puzzle together. When it comes to gathering data, it's been slow on the earnings front, but it will start to pick up, as you pointed out in your opening there. So let's start there. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings?
Well, and nothing came out last night or this morning, but after the bell today, you got AZZ. They're going to be releasing earnings. Their EPS is $1.58. Expected move is 7.16%. Then tomorrow morning, you got Simply Good Foods, SMPL. Their EPS is 51 cents. Expected move is 9.08%. You got ConAgra, ticker CAG, Charlie Apple Grace. Their EPS is 59 cents. Expected move is 4.6%. And then the big one is Delta Airlines, DAL, also releasing tomorrow morning. Delta is expected to earn $1.97. Expected move is 7.19%. Call volume looks positive. I'm cautious on the airlines going into the summer travel, but we'll have to wait and see. But oil's kind of showing you that demand is still there, but earnings will be the key factor, and we'll get a good look when Delta releases earnings after before the bell tomorrow morning, Emily.
And you'll be able to look at that data as soon as it comes out using your earnings alert on your NewsWare, gathering those earnings as they hit the tape. And speaking of gathering even more news and data and information, economic events, we do have those highly anticipated Fed meeting minutes, digging for clues on what the Fed may be planning next when it comes to monetary policy. So, Bill, give us a look at everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
At 10:30 a.m., you get the EIA oil stockpiles report. A little concerning with that API bill. Got to tell you, a little nervous here. But I do think that they should have a draw. But we'll wait and see. 10:30 is when that comes out. Then at 2 p.m. this afternoon, you get the Fed meeting minutes. Now, they're expected to reveal a range of views among the policymakers on the current stance of monetary policy. Listen, the Feds have been keeping rates steady as it anticipates a pickup of inflation. This pickup of inflation is really due to the Trump tariffs, but we haven't seen that yet. Mainly due to the stockpiling that occurred prior to the announcement of the tariffs. Everybody knew they were coming, so a tremendous amount of stockpiling was done. So the increase in costs due to the tariffs really haven't hit. It really hasn't hit the economy yet. And that's why the Fed is kind of waiting to see how bad the inflation, will tick up. And next week we get a CPI print, so we'll have to wait and see. But that's going to be a key one. And right now, I mean, we're waiting on those Fed minutes to see, what the Fed members were talking, how they were speaking, whether they were dovish, whether they were hawkish. But we'll find out today, Emily.
Another thing that you'll be gathering using your NewsWare, using your economic alerts and your Fed alerts to get that information. And along with the earnings action and economic reports, you're still gathering more news, data, facts, information. You're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls, looking at your stocks grouped together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Doing a data check, I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 24 Dow stocks higher. I got 4 lower and 2 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. We're seeing a little weakness in Netflix, but everything else is in the green. So, we should anticipate a positive opening this morning. In terms of news behind the tape, you're looking at Apple, ticker AAPL. They're eyeing U.S. Formula One broadcasting rights after the successful F1 movie. Amazon, ticker AMZN, trading a little higher today. Remember, it was weak yesterday. News is that Prime Day is going on right now, said to be impacted by tariffs and various trade war issues. So maybe the pricing isn't as great, but more to come. There's still today, tomorrow, and Friday for them to continue doing sales. Let's talk Meta because Meta's been hiring a lot of AI talent. I mean, they poached some, they poached some from OpenAI, they poached some from Google, and today I see that OpenAI is hiring engineers from Tesla and Meta. So it's kind of a little bit of a payback, but yeah, interesting. Then you're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we're going to talk about Boeing, ticker BA. They announced 60 plane deliveries in June. Q2 deliveries are the highest since 2023. I mean, this is really positive. This shows that they are turning things around, and the stock is up about 1% this morning. Then you get to talk about Merck. Merck is buying Verona Pharmaceuticals, ticker VRNA, Victor Richard Nancy Apple, about $107 ADS. Their COPD treatments is really the key there, and it's a $10 billion purchase. So when you look at shares of Merck this morning, they are trading higher by about 0.5%. I don't think they're going to hold that gain, but it is a positive step for Merck when they're buying out talent, and that's what they did with VRNA. In terms of merger news, obviously you got the Merck news, but there's also AES, the AES Corp, ticker AES, Apple Edward Sam. They're said to be exploring takeover interest. Keep an eye on that. In terms of guidance news, Mobileye, MBLY, they see Q2 revenue coming in 502 to 506 million. The street estimate is 466. So this is a real uptick. You see all these driverless car talk going on, with the robo-taxis, Google's Waymo and Tesla's robo-taxi, and Mobileye is in that space. So yeah, not surprised to see some gains there. In terms of shareholder news, Steelcase, SCS, Sam, Charlie, Sam, they're having a shareholders meeting today at 11 a.m. In terms of catalyst calls, Citibank placed a 30-day upside catalyst watch on MLCO. That's Melco Resorts. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
Going with Robinhood Markets, ticker HOOD. Henry, Oscar, David. I mean, you look at what's going on in that space, and they really had a lot of selling pressure yesterday, but financials are higher today. And, so yesterday's selling pressure was a bit overdone. And I think we could, I think a bounce is necessary here. So, I look at yesterday's call volume. There was 367,000 calls traded to 123,000 puts. That's more than 2 to 1. Very positive. People were buying on the weakness. And the major brokers, they're still positive on the stock. They're still raising price targets here. So, listen, the stock is, showing some strong gains already this morning. But if I can get in under between 92 and 92.50, somewhere in that range, I think that will really still provide a good opportunity for at least a 1% gain. So my pick of the day, Robinhood, ticker HOOD, Henry, Oscar, David, Emily.
Looking to buy Hood at some weakness there and looking for that bounce today. We will follow that along with you. And coming up, we'll do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay. Tesla CEO Musk tells Wedbush analyst to shut up in an X post. Oh, that's not good. Trump's Truth Social files an S1 for crypto blue chip. Ooh. JSPR, John, Sam, Paul, Richard, Jasper Therapeutics to reduce workforce by 50%. President Trump's talking drug tariffs as well as semiconductor chip tariffs. Israel signs a memorandum of understanding to advance collaboration on energy and AI. It was signed by Chris Wright of the U.S. Secretary. They don't have any oil in Israel. I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. Trump's out there saying Powell should cut interest rates now. Canadian regulators are looking into retailers' pricing policy over at Amazon. Starbucks, SBUX, has received significant interest for a potential stake in its China business. A number of Chinese firms are lining up. UNH, United Healthcare, former employees apparently are being questioned by the Department of Justice as to UNH's billing practices. Costco releasing June sales volumes today after the close. Meta Platforms, they took a nearly 3% stake in the eyewear maker that owns Ray-Ban. Because remember, they do that those AI glasses with Ray-Ban. ARM Holdings, the number of customers that use ARM-based chips in data centers has grown to 70,000, a 14% increase since 2001. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we get to midweek trading, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Alcoa. You were looking at metal stocks, you're looking at that sector because they sort of remain attractive between trade talks and tech center buildouts, as you pointed out on the show yesterday. You also made this pick following that news that FCX was added to Citi's watch list, and that could be good for sort of the overall sector. You were looking for the 30 area yesterday. When you made this call, Bill, how did your call work out?
Worked out great. I mean, it actually did. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, listen, the stock opened higher than I thought. It opened up at $30.37, but it did fall down to 30.18 in the initial trading volumes. But then it ran with that hot news, about the copper tariffs. It ran all the way up to 31.44. I mean, so, it ran up over $1 from the opening price. And that's like 3%. And then, you look at it, it did show a little weakness toward the closing at 30.51. But this morning it's back up there trading $30.69. So either way, it was a good trade. I mean, Alcoa was a winner yesterday. Ticker AA, happy, happy, happy.
Number of news items there making that one a win. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Robinhood pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.